Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast in this reality. The show designed to challenge everything we've been taught. If you've ever felt there had to be more to life, more to existence, then you're listening to the right podcast. Time to open your mind and dive in. This is the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast.
And here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Today, I'm coming to you mobile. I'm not with my gear right now. I'm not even with my travel gear right now. So I am using just a jerry-rigged setup with a Yeti microphone and my computer. Remember when I started this podcast, I was basically using my cell phone. So we've come a long way, and we can still do grassroots. I guess it's one of those things, too, where I get wrapped up a lot in the sound. I really want a good sound, and I really value my ability to create that. So it's not so much one of those things where it's like, it's not so much for the audience, even though it is. It's definitely for my desire to sound good. A personal thing. And it's funny too, because the whole idea of perfectionism we've talked about. Perfectionism gets in the way of doing a really good job. And so coming out and not being around the studio gear, but still wanting to record, you have to be able to be open to how you're going to go about it. And honestly, right now in this day and age, the podcast, if you're thinking about starting one, is one of the greatest things to do. What we're going to talk about today is a few items that a lot of people are talking about. When I say a lot of people, I mean, how do I put this? I view things a little bit differently than most people will view things. I view things, how do I say this without sounding pretentious? I don't know. I just view things differently. So let's talk about some topics that people see. And then I want to put my spin on it. So a few trending topics right now are AI replacing people. Why is this trending? AI is everywhere right now. Content, business, jobs, identity, and it's not slowing down. So is it replacing people, or is it demonstrating our own flaws or our own shortcomings? And for me, I know full well when AI was first introduced, like properly rolled out to the people, I lost about $2,500 to $3,000 a month right off the top in copywriting work. I was doing work on Upwork and Fiverr and all those things, and I went within 1 month, I lost 50%. By the end of month 2, it was done. And obviously, my work is a little bit different, and I don't know, certainly at the time better than what AI was producing. You guys remember the first round of AI stuff? It was pretty obviously AI, but it didn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. Society waits for no man. So it wasn't up to me to be like, hey, boo-hoo, I'm getting replaced. It was being like, okay, so this cool thing's out now. What else can I do? What else can I create? And so in this particular instance, the AI forced me to be a better version of me, to help me level up my game. What am I going to do? Just be stagnant? Just constantly be doing the same thing? No, I've got to constantly learn how to update myself and my character and that sort of thing. I love this idea and this ideology simply because there are so many people out there that are afraid to either make a move or challenge themselves to grow. And a lot of people who are dead asleep are out there pointing the finger. And so I know none of you guys are. Maybe some of you are. And if you are, this is a bit of a wake-up call for you, because it's not up to you to point the finger at anything, right? Everything is happening for you. So this situation with AI and replacing people's jobs is great, because it gives you, if you've fully lost your job to AI, I pity, I don't pity you. I don't feel sorry for you. I'm working on my words here. I understand the situation. But when you then take your situation and view it as an opportunity for personal growth, it kind of changes the narrative. And most people can say, oh, well, personal growth isn't going to pay the bills. Maybe not right now, but certainly in a week from now it will. And that's the whole purpose of this thing, to constantly have this thing being the life, the experience, or reality, is to forever challenge yourself to be a little bit better than you were, to take strides, to take steps. And see, too, it's not just AI that's hurting a lot of people. I mean, the economy is stepping on people everywhere. So almost every walk of life, everything's more expensive and nobody's making as much money. People are clawing back. Companies are clawing back. Taxation's going up. Gas prices are going up. Everything's going up. And this is a great spot for humanity to be in, to be able to alter how they do what they do. And when you can see that on that connotation and on that note, it really truly changes how you step into and move forward with who you're becoming and the soul contract which helped you get to where you are right now. Another topic that I'm going to glaze over is robots entering human spaces. That to me is just fun. I don't know, or I can't really speak on this. Robots are literally playing sports now, and people are debating what that means. It's entertaining. We're walking out of the Industrial Revolution as we speak. And when you do that, it's almost like we don't quite know what we're supposed to do as humans. It doesn't we don't need all of the things. Most of the jobs that we've had up until now were meaningless. I mean, that sounds terrible, but it was all busy work. And in my opinion, it was designed to take you away from your purpose. But at the same time, it was designed to push you into your purpose, all respectively on how you choose to view it. Because if your job takes you away from your purpose to the point where you get fed up enough that you quit your job and dive into your purpose because you're so miserable, then it was a means to an end. As far as them replacing us, a lot of the dangerous jobs are being replaced by robots. But that also allows us to live more in our moment. And I guess I'm for it. I'm not for people losing jobs. I am, however, for people expanding. So I guess I had enough to touch on that topic, but not really. Anyway, another topic is, what's funny too? Without having my proper gear, I have to monitor my voice. In other words, I have to be cognizant of how enunciating-ish I am. Simply because I don't want spikes in your ears. And it's very interesting to have this conversation and still be aware of my own personal volume. Funny that. All right, let's get back to global instability and the illusion of control. This one's trending. We've got Middle Eastern tension. We've got energy disruption. We've got global uncertainty. This one's huge. This is what I was just talking about, how every single industry is changing. People aren't buying or selling their houses. Real estate, the agents are off, and rightfully so. We got to shake off some of the tree here because everybody under the sun is an agent right now. But the North American way of life is changing. And the neat thing about that is what comes next. What comes next if agents aren't able to buy or sell houses, then probably AI replaces the agents. This isn't going to be overnight, because my personal opinion is, if I'm buying a house, I'm not going to do it sight unseen. I'm not going to point and click. I'm not going to go through a robot. I want to talk to somebody. It's the biggest decision I've ever made in my entire life, theoretically. And so it comes down to the person you're dealing with. If I'm buying a house, I want to benefit the person I'm working with regards to the commission. I want to like the person I'm working with. And I most certainly want to work with a person. Now, of course, I'm sure some liberal down the line is going to call me a AI-ophobe. Some dumb equalizer. I don't even know. But I think cancel culture is wrapping itself up. I think cancel culture is eating itself apart. All of cancel culture, in my opinion, can basically go fuck itself. You just need to operate your life with integrity. And if you look at cancel culture, these people aren't integral. They are yelling at the top of their lungs with their pink hair about how unfair absolutely everything is, based solely on North American standards. And North American standards were designed to make you lash out and attack and be less than who you're supposed to be. And it's fascinating. The victimhood that the television has made people believe of themselves is amazing. And if you're a victim, you certainly aren't able to stand up for yourself. Not in any meaningful way. So the global instability is intentional. The illusion of the war over there. I don't mean the illusion of war. I mean the illusion of the repercussions. We're seeing all kinds of stuff all over the place about war. We also just witnessed all over, the Ukraine about all that sort of stuff. And it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but I've seen a lot of footage that is, there's nothing going on over here. And then I've heard people say, oh, it's an absolute wartime. And I understand that division is the biggest motivating factor. It's the biggest driving force. Division is massive. So when you add liberalism to the division markers, it amplifies everything. Once you add the media in, it amplifies everything. And once the media has set its tone, the media then has the ability to change its tone so that the left and the right were fighting, and now they've flipped sides so that the left and the right are confused and potentially fighting each other. So not only do you have the left fighting the right, you have the right fighting the right. You have factions of the left fighting factions of the left. You have opinions going all over the place, and everybody is so versed and and stuck to the internet that this is the thing. And if every single person is fighting and in some sort of contradiction, then none of them are paying attention. One of the greatest analogies I ever saw, and I actually got blacklisted for this one, was you take an ant farm with red ants and black ants in it, and you shake the ant farm. The red ants will attack the black ants, and vice versa. And while they're fighting each other, none of the ants are looking for who shook the farm. I posted that once, and I got a 30-day ban for false information, and the tag was, David Attenborough never said this quote. And I thought to myself, how far we've fallen. I also realized at that time, too, that you can't be canceled, because when they were doing their shadow bans and when they were doing their heavy redaction of social media accounts, when you got a glimpse of the fact that everything that you put on social media is monitored and allowed to exist, you realize that there isn't anybody anywhere by accident. There isn't anybody in any position of influence by accident. I'm never going to be a giant account simply because they'll never allow it. And who are they? Well, that's a whole other story. But they, the Coles notes of they are me. I'm not supposed to get big. I'm supposed to define myself as the person who did his best to raise awareness for himself and those in his sphere, his local sphere. I'm not here to necessarily change the entirety of the world or be influential or even be known. I don't want to be known. What I do want is to be able to share my message and my piece. And I feel like that's happening, even though we have a much smaller audience, and even though the algorithm's constantly changing, and even though everything that we do, we have to catch up with. The cool thing about that is every step of the way, I'm learning something new. In a world that's never been defined, we aren't in our parents' world. We aren't in our grandparents' world. Everything is different. And it's kind of magical, too. But it ain't what it used to be. Oh, gray head, she ain't what she used to be. We're clinging to systems that no longer serve us. We're being drowned in fear-based narratives. Personal stability has never been this chaotic because we're basing it on what we're seeing. And what we're seeing is changing by the second, intentionally. Information overload leads to the same thing as ADHD paralysis. You've got a million things you think and see and do and want, and then you get wrapped up with it and stuck in this idea that if I don't make the right decision right now, I could be potentially hurting myself. These are all symptoms, right? So it's like, how much are we supposed to be under attack? Now, here's the thing, too. If you leave North America, where do you go? What do you do? What do you see? How's life supposed to be outside of what we know? And it's beautiful. Without the news cycle, without constantly being bombarded with stuff. And I don't mean the news cycle as in the majority of you guys don't even watch the news. But you talk to people who watch the news. You look at social media. And remember, too, social media is just as manicured as the news. as the media. Legacy media understands that you're not watching the news. And the news was never about sharing the news with you. It was about propaganda. And now social media is about propaganda. And they're building trust with certain names and brands. But any one of those is questionable. Which is why I never want to get too big, because all of a sudden then I become questionable. And I'll never bow to what they want me to bow to. So my algorithm's always going to change. I'm always going to put something up that's controversial to the system, because my whole premise is to see what the system is doing and ask questions about it. Why is it that I'm not allowed to do that? Why is it that that's punished? Punishable offense. One of the ones that's circling right now is this woman in Canada talking about how if I can't talk about the Prime Minister, the cops are at my door, blah, blah, blah. I've seen this propaganda play out before in Australia. And I remember the cop that was at her door was this tall, unique-looking individual. And then I saw him in 2 or 3 other videos doing other things. This guy was clearly a crisis actor. The whole thing was clearly staged. And the reason they stage this stuff is because if this woman's getting arrested, then you will get arrested too. If it happened to her, it can happen to me. And what happens then? People shut up. People stop talking. They've created this narrative. It's the same thing as Al Capone. Everyone's like, oh, Al Capone went to jail for taxes. He did all this stuff and avoided everybody and got away with everything. But the government got him on taxes. Martha Stewart, the nation's mother, beautiful woman, went to jail for taxes, tax evasion. She couldn't, you got Martha, if they're going to put Martha Stewart in jail, they're going to put me in jail. Now, I'm not advocating tax evasion because that's criminal. What I am, however, advocating is not handing over your information to begin with. And if you're not in the system, you don't owe them anything. You signed no contract. Remember, taxation is voluntary. And once you enter into an agreement with them, typically, you need to pay your taxes. That's a whole other podcast and episode. But it's fear. It's fear-based. The media, every single thing that you've ever seen on the media, from the cartoons we watched as kids, to the commercials, to the news, to politics, to sporting events, all of it is working in conjunction to make you believe a certain narrative. When you understand that, the game really changes. When you understand that absolutely everything is connected, there's a lot that you don't have to partake in. The next one is the new wellness wave. And I don't fully understand the wellness wave. Like, I get it, it's like, hey, be fit, be happy, be this, be that. Biohacking, gut health, personalized health, wearables, all of this stuff. We've turned health into a product. And the funny thing about that is, I remember when I was smoking, one of the number one taxable things in the government was cigarettes. And the number 2 was the quitting smoking industry. The top 2 taxable things back in the day were smoking and quitting smoking. The story of quitting smoking. The hardest thing I'll ever do is quit smoking. It's harder than heroin. Well, I'll tell you, I've been addicted to cigarettes and I've been addicted to Percocets. And enough Percocets is basically like heroin. And nothing was harder to quit than Percocets. That was one of the craziest things I ever had to experience. Going cold turkey on that. Cigarettes were annoying when you quit. You're just annoyed. So the story is part of the trap. And that's something that a lot of people got to grab to. What you believe was handed to you. I can't quit smoking. It's harder than heroin. It is not. I've never been addicted to heroin, but I can only imagine those who get off heroin are gods. And every single person that got off heroin got stronger. When you realize that the majority of everything you've ever been told is a lie about everything, and then you put yourself through the pain of that kind of withdrawal, you come out a different person. But my take on the wellness industry is a little bit different. I'm looking at this going, every single person under the sun, no matter what you look at, has a take, has an opinion, and everyone speaks with authority. With such authority. Like they know what the fuck is going on. and they say, you have to do this, and this is what's going to work for you, and blah, blah, blah. None of that shit's true. The only thing that's proven over and over again, and it's just, I don't even want to say science, it just is what it is. Caloric intake versus energetic output. You want to lose weight? Eat a little bit less, move a little bit more. It's that simple. Now that sounds like I'm being definitive. I'm not being definitive. But Alan Watts once said, eliminate as much as you possibly can and you're left with the truth. And so when you fundamentally eliminate how food works, sure, you can add your vitamins and your supplements, and you can add this and add that. But at the end of the day, once you start subtracting the bullshit, you're left with the truth. And if you're left with nothing, then there's an interesting thing that takes place. It means that potentially the bullshit is the truth. Once you've eliminated absolutely everything, you're left with the absurd. And the absurd right now is eat less, move more. Which is kind of wild at the end of the day. So the wellness industry is designed to keep you in analysis paralysis as well. And the truth of the matter is, watch your food, watch your intake, watch what screws you up. If you go out for lunch and you feel tired afterwards, maybe don't eat that meal again. Right? Don't criticize people who are lactose or carb intolerant or whatever the other, celiacs and all that sort of stuff. We can't say things like, "Oh, I was fine. I ate that shit for years, and now I'm okay." Because the truth of the matter is, the stuff that's in our foods, the chemtrails that are being bombarded on us, even the food that you grow in your own backyard is subjected to the chemtrails. Oh, and I'm crazy for talking about chemtrails, right? Aluminum, barium. Why is this being sprayed on us? There's so much that goes into it, and all of it's analysis paralysis. So you're left with the ability and the idea that maybe I can, maybe I can't. I'm not seeing results immediately, and I'm not happy with it, so I'm just going to go back to my old ways. And then you're a little bit depressed and undermotivated. There's a reason that our food is terrible and that we're being bombarded, because if anyone had the ability to see the whole picture, we would not stand for the bullshit that we're sitting under. But everyone right now is beaten down just enough that we're looking for a hero. And those who aren't beaten down anymore, those who have stepped out of that rule, are mocked by society or called crazy or put into fear that the government will come after you if you say anything. I mean, if I end up in jail, I'll figure out how to get a message out. If I end up in jail over this, I'm going to laugh my ass off, because that's not my mission. I'm not supposed to die here, as they say. It's not for me. I live my life with 100% integrity. Externally. How I talk to myself is a little bit different. It's something that we're all working on, isn't it? But externally, I always show up with integrity, because without it, as a man, if you don't have your word, you have absolutely nothing. What else we have here? Motivation culture. This is a good one. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm motivating you. But I always hated the term life coach, even though for a minute there I was a life coach. Now I consider myself more a small business coach, more a existential crisis coach, more a awakening coach. And am I even a coach? I'm just somebody who's been through a lot of shit, that has the ability to see a lot of shit empathically, that has the ability to help a lot of people when they want it. But the motivation culture is crazy. And it's aggressive. Like, do you actually want to do this or not? It's trending everywhere. It's not about that. It's not about motivation. Everyone's motivated as all hell because everything sucks, so we got to do something about it. The problem here is your identity. We don't know who we are or what we're capable of. And this is one of the things that I really want to hammer home, that I really want to work on with people, is understanding who they are in a world that's trying to tell you who you are. That's part of the craziest shit ever. It's a strange spot to be in when people are consuming motivation but aren't changing. We're locked into dopamine loops. Discipline versus emotional hype. Like, we're stuck. in these systems because, again, analysis paralysis. All of this stuff is happening. All of this stuff is existing. And all of this stuff is absolutely everywhere. Am I a motivator? I'm a logical thinker. If my words motivate you, amazing. It used to go from a point where I thought to myself, I have to say these things for them. And now it's more of, I have to say these things for me. And when you cross that threshold, when you decide that you're going to start creating certain patterns for yourself, because if you don't verbalize things or say things out loud, then a lot of stuff doesn't change. And for me, I have the ability to think stuff. I have the ability to analyze stuff and think it to death. But what really helps me get moving and get going and get things done is the podcast, is the Instagram account, is the blog. I'm creative. The way out is through. So how do you get through? You consistently create. You move in a system that has you constantly on the verge of something new. What the system and what society wants is for you to sit down and watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Just sit there and watch TV and don't think about stuff. But you need balance. You need to be physical. You need to be mentally challenged. You need to pay very close attention to what you're taking in, what food you're taking in. Because that's one of the biggest traps. That's one of the biggest addictions that nobody talks about, is what we're consuming. And it's terrible. And it's having major effects on all of us, on all of our perception. I love this stuff, though. I love being able to talk about this stuff and sort of to have a rough idea of seeing past the illusion. We'll go deeper on seeing past the illusion in the coming weeks too, because it's very important that, we understand it. It's also very important that I articulate it. It's a practice of mine that I'm doing my best to understand, because I see things in such a way that I have a very hard time articulating, or at least not sounding crazy when I talk about this stuff. So, I mean, I could go on for hours about this, but I love this. And if you've ever thought about, stepping out of your own personal comfort zone, or getting yourself out there, if you've got a message to share or a podcast to start, or you want to start an Instagram account, but you have no idea how to get, your message truly clearly stated. If you want any help whatsoever, let me know. This is what we do. This is what we're here for. Times are changing. We have the ability to help, and we will answer all emails. So definitely, if you're interested, shoot us a message, info@the Mental Mastery Alliance, or a DM, instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Shoot us a text, 647-338-1265. Fascinated to hear what you have to say, what you guys are thinking about, what you're doing, all of that stuff. Anyway, this has been fun. I hope the sound's not too bad. I hope we did really well with the gear and equipment that we have. And remember, in the infamous words of Red Green, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handful.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Stay connected with us directly through the mentalmasteryalliance.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag TMMA or tagging us at the Mental Mastery Alliance. To have your voice heard on the show, leave a voicemail or send a text to 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. If you love us, leave us a review. If you hate us, you spend your time in weird ways, but also leave a review. Every review on iTunes tickles the algorithm, helping us grow. Until next time, unity over division. This concludes the most surreal portion of your day.
You got it, Pontiac.